We in a different time zone.
Trying to keep my mind
a broken ring with some rhinestones.
Me and you, we both
You said you good, but you crying though. He tried to spin the block, but our time's gone. Buckle up, you know this love is
Kinmafia. It's your girl TORIA, back with another video, back with another And I want to briefly talk about, again, part 2 of my Kenneka Jenkins video. So many things that I want to talk about in regards to this topic. I'm bothered greatly by the negligence of all parties involved. Notice when a lot of people talk about her incident, they're not really speaking about some of the main factors. Like, forget what everybody else is doing. I want to know what happened when she was by the freezer, which is what everybody wants to know, which is what her family was trying to figure out, right? And it bothered me. Something about the freezer specifically bothered me. Now, I have additional footage included in here that I found online. I want your opinion on it, but something about the freezer specifically bothers me. The freezer was allegedly unused, and in the photos, I'll insert them here, you can see that the freezer was empty, hasn't been cleaned, it just looks abandoned. What bothers me is the fact that if you have a freezer that's not in use and nobody uses it, how is it on? How are there images of the temperature in the freezer? If the freezer is not in use, why is it turned on? If the freezer is empty, why is it turned on? If there's nothing in the freezer, why is it turned on? Is that just an extra bill you guys wanted? Like, it's so many inconsistencies with the story. That's what's bugging me. Who operates the freezer? Was there nobody in the hotel that could vouch for them turning on the freezer and why they did it if there was nothing in it? The lawyer states that the door was locked from the outside, which is another interesting fact, because the footage shows nobody with her, but she's locked in the freezer. These are obvious facts. And you're just going to deem it as her walking in the freezer and laying down? The photos of her laying down in the freezer, it doesn't look like she just got so cold she laid down. She's not in the fetal position. She's tossed in the freezer. It's crazy disturbing to me. It looks like she got into a scuffle. What about the abrasions that she had on her? What about the trauma to her brain swelling? How are they dismissing this as an accident as well? Obvious facts that were ignored, selective facts that were ignored. Her brain was swollen. She had abrasions. She was tossed in the freezer. She had one shoe off. She looked like she had gotten into a fight. There are people going around saying that she was being guided, that she was being, that she was being coached through walking through the hotel. It looked like she was blindly walking through the hotel. What I assume is that at some point while she was in the elevator, either she clicked the wrong floor or the elevator was set to go to the floor that had the freezer. But I don't want to give these people that much credit. Whoever did this doesn't seem that smart to me, because why would you put her in an empty freezer and lock it? She can't lock herself from the outside while she's inside. So I don't want to give them that much credit, because to be honest, I don't think that they're that intelligent. I just think there's a lot of people that were in on it, so they were able to cover their asses. I don't know how this video is going to come out. It's like, what, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning? I'm super sleepy, but I just could not sleep before posting this video because it was irritating me. Like, just going through the research and trying to find more information. I'm seeing people say she walked into the freezer by accident. I'm like, you guys, did you do your research? Are you just assuming? Do you not care? RIP to Zach TV. I think he was the closest one to getting the answer, because he had so many plugs and so many connections with the people that were actually at the party. To the dudes that were familiar with her, they speak about her personality. They speak about how she doesn't just let anybody come up and touch her, that she's not that friendly. They also speak about how they were treated when they reported that they couldn't find her. They said they were looking for employees to help. They said they couldn't find anything. They said they were brushed off. It's funny. If somebody comes to you and say, hey, I can't find my friend and she's in this hotel, why wouldn't your first thought be, okay, well, let me check the camera. Okay, let me get the security to check the camera. Give me a sec. It's not going to take that long. What time did you guys come here? Okay, bet. Give me 1 second. Like, why wouldn't you get the times from the party that's saying she went missing? Why wouldn't you get the approximate times, check your security footage, and see if you can find out where she went? There were cameras in the kitchen. There were cameras that showed her walking through the hallways. She was staggering. Yes, it does show that she was under the influence of alcohol and temperament. It does show that she was inebriated. It does show that she was staggering aimlessly. But what happened to her didn't happen because she was just under the influence. Of course it didn't help, but that wasn't the only reason. Who knows if she even took that medication willingly with the alcohol? It's just so many things people don't know. What if she didn't realize what she had taken? How you end up wandering alone throughout the hallways and end up in a freezer with it locked. It doesn't make any sense. I also have some footage I want you guys to check out. This footage is new to me. So I want you guys to look at it and I want your opinions. Then on top of it taking them a very long time to provide footage, I think it's weird that your first instinct wouldn't be to call the police after somebody says, hey, I can't find my friend, they're missing. Why wouldn't you, as a hotel, as a security guard, or as a manager, call the police to get help if you sincerely cared about the person? Wouldn't you be worried about the attention a missing person would cause at your hotel? People are saying a person was edited out the video. I don't think so. It could have been. But like I said, I don't want to give that much credit to these people. The only upper advantage that they have on what happened to her is A, they are in charge of the footage, and B, everybody's keeping their mouth closed. Which doesn't shock me because when these two young men went to look for help, everybody was gone. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you're getting into stuff you have no business getting into and you're with your friends and you're gathered around and you're nowhere to be found by the adults. But when you are found, you're frantic and you're nervous because, you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. It's really weird. I don't feel like she walked into the freezer. That's why there's no footage of her walking into the freezer. There's no footage of her walking into the freezer because I don't think she walked into the freezer. I feel like whatever's in that bag could have been placed into the freezer. She looks like she was thrown into the freezer. She didn't look like she tried to get out. There were no bruises on her hands from banging on the door and trying to open it. She didn't look like she was fighting to get out of that frozen freezer. See, because if I'm in a freezer and I'm up and I'm trying to get out, I'm gonna try my best to bang on whatever I can bang on to get out, even if my own fingers break from me hitting the door so hard. Kenneka is staggering throughout the hotel so much. To me, it just doesn't make sense as to how she could even muster up the strength to open the door and walk in the freezer. You think she finally, gained her composure and just opened up the freezer door and just waltzed in? She could barely stand up. She was tipping over. Where would she have the strength to do that? The only upper hand the criminals who did this to her had is the fact that everybody's keeping their mouth closed. Nobody wants to go to jail. You want to commit the crime, but you don't want to go to jail. I don't have anything to say about Kenneka's said friends. And by friends, I mean the obvious females that she were with that everybody keeps saying set her up. I don't think they set her up. I think they were negligent. I think that hotel was big. And I think the men that worked at the hotel had an eye on her from the beginning, for sure. There's no way they didn't know a party was going on upstairs. Sorry guys, I'm so tired, but it is 4 in the morning. I could not go to sleep without making this video. I just couldn't go to sleep without making this video, you guys. I'm exhausted. I'm losing my voice. I want feedback. Comments, what do you guys think? Stop. Please, let's stop ignoring the facts. Please stop saying this inebriated girl mustered up the strength, walked into the freezer, closed it, locked herself in the freezer from inside of the freezer, and laid down. Look at how she's positioned. She was thrown in the freezer, an empty freezer, turned on, and locked in.
TORIA.